So, hello. I'm really grateful that you accepted my invitation for interview. Hello, Kev Raymond is your name.
Ramon.
Hey, Ife. I only have one baby today, so it's gonna be a little bit better. So, Kev Raymond is someone who is very inspiring for me when it comes to frutarian or raw vegan diet. So I invited you to introduce you to people from my country that are not very aware of something like frutarianism, let's say. And I would like to ask you a few questions that are interesting even for me. Could you be so kind and maybe tell me more about your life before you went to a frutarian diet? That's like a first thing.
Life before fruitarian was, I ate like everybody else. I ate animals, standard American diet or Western diet, which is processed junk, just everything's processed, everything's unnatural, nothing is food, the dead animal flesh. That's what I ate. I drank alcohol, I smoked weed, and that was basically my lifestyle as far as my eating habits go.
And what happened? Was it like an inner voice, or did something happen outside that changed your mind, your mindset?
I had been wanting to lose weight. I was overweight. I was about 80 pounds heavier than what I am now. And I had been wanting to lose weight for a long time. And I always struggled with losing weight. And one particular time, I just got really serious about losing weight. And I'm going to the gym and working out and everything, and nothing's happening. And this started me into looking at the things I was eating, just, studying and learning more about what I was eating. And so I started reading, the ingredients labels on the backs of everything I was buying. And this is what really started it for me, because I started learning about what they were putting in the things I was eating, and how they were putting chemicals in what I was eating that would make me overeat. Right? They were designed to make me overeat. They were designed to make me gain weight. They were designed to be addictive. So that's what really got it going for me. As I started learning about these things, I started eliminating these things from my diet. And when I started eliminating these things from my diet, weight loss became a lot easier. And, I eventually reached my weight loss goals, but the journey wasn't over, because I had learned a lot about what they were putting, about, the chemicals they were putting in what I was eating. And I wanted to learn more. I knew there was a lot more to learn. So everything I bought to eat or to drink, I read the label first. And there was always some chemical, on the ingredients label that I didn't know what it was. I didn't know how to pronounce. And I would look it up. And I started looking up side effects also. Like, what are the side effects? Or are there any side effects to these chemicals, to these ingredients, I started seeing side effects of things like cancer and diabetes, heart disease, ADHD, liver disease, Alzheimer's, heart attack, strokes, kidney failure, kidney stones, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I even seen there's even side effects linked to mental illness, like depression, paranoia, bipolarism. And so as I'm learning more and more about what I'm eating, I'm eliminating more and more from my diet. And, that journey covered a period of years. I don't know exactly how many, but I've been studying the Western diet for over 10 years. And, eventually I just got to this place. Like, I remember standing in the grocery store one day and just looking around and just thinking, like, I can't eat none of this shit. I can't eat none of this. None of this is food. And at the time, I wasn't even aware of, fruitarianism or the concept of eating just fruit. And, but I was heading in that direction because the more I learned about what I was eating, the more or the less it made sense to eat it. Now I'm not going to keep eating things that I know increases my chances of developing cancer or heart disease or diabetes or having a heart attack or a stroke. And so at some point I remember just being on social media and hearing this guy, and he was an herbalist, and he was talking about healing.
Can you share the
Healing
name?
different. Excuse me?
If you can share a name of a person.
His name was Raw Marabi. That's the name he goes by on social media, Raw Marabi. And he was the first person that I heard speak about healing diseases that the experts say are incurable. And he was, had testimonies and all kind of things. And he would always say, just go on an all fruit diet, go on an all fruit diet, go on an all fruit diet, and, his approach, incorporate, he would recommend some herbs to incorporate also. And so hearing that for the first time, I thought it was crazy. I didn't eat fruit. I didn't know people that ate fruit. Like, that was just a foreign concept to me, to eat fruit. Like, we didn't do that. We ate animals and we ate, processed stuff, And so hearing that, I thought it was crazy, but it also intrigued me. And, I kept listening to him and I started eating fruit. And this time, I started eating more and more fruit. And eventually I wanted to go all fruit, and, there's a story behind that, which I won't get into. It actually, there was a spiritual experience responsible for leading me on that path to just, eating fruit 100% and nothing else. But that's basically how it happened. And, one of my common phrases that I say is, I only eat fruit because nothing else makes sense. And, for many years, I've looked for something else that made sense. and nothing else did. When I look at how nature eats, when I look at the laws of nature that every species obeys, in their natural habitats concerning how they eat, only fruit makes sense. Nothing else makes sense. Everything else is unnatural. So that's pretty much what happened.
So how long have you been on fruitarian diet? I don't really like calling it diet because it's not a diet. It's actually
Right.
like natural state. But how long have you been on
I don't
fruit
even
diet?
I don't even like calling it fruitarian because it likes it separates. It makes it sound like it's this special classification when it's just the way we're supposed to eat. Like we're supposed to eat fruit. We are fruit eaters by nature and by design. Like this has been proven across the board unanimously. Science proves it. Our biology and anatomy proves it. For people that believe the Bible proves it. The first humans were fruit eaters, according to the Bible. There's archaeologists. There's an archaeologist. I don't know his name right now, but I have his article of a research that he published in 1979, I believe, where he proved conclusively that the first humans were fruit eaters exclusively, nothing else. They didn't eat bamboo, shoots, roots, nuts, seeds. I mean, just fruits. Although, nuts and seeds are fruits, but this is his research. They were exclusively fruit eaters through studying the abrasions on the teeth. He discovered that every tooth found of the earliest humans were that of exclusive fruit eaters. So I don't really like saying that term fruitarianism. Like this is just the way we're supposed to eat. And I forgot your question. What was your question?
But I have another one. My question was, how long have you been on fruits?
Oh, how long? Yeah. I've been on this journey, I don't know, about 5 years. About 5 years. I ate fruit for a year some years ago, and then I fell off the path because I was struggling with different addictions. And because of those addictions I had to different things I was eating, that first year I ate fruit, I went through a lot of withdrawal symptoms. I used to have a lot of dreams, nightmares even about eating things that I didn't want to eat no more, eating animals, eating dairy. Like I was having reoccurring dreams, like weekly. I went through some really intense battles just trying to resist the cravings that I was dealing with, like some really intense battles.
So
And so after a year, I ended up giving in. And so then, I have this period of time where I was just kind of trying to, I guess, like find myself. And it's during this period of time that I realized that all that I had been going through during that first year were symptoms of addiction. I didn't even know I was an addict at the time. And I discovered I was an addict. I discovered that they make those products in the Western diet addictive. They make them addictive. And much of what we think is food is really drugs. And some of those chemicals that they put in these processed products are more addictive than street drugs. That's what I was dealing with. And I had to deal with that. And so for a period of, I don't know how long, however many months, I was facing that, getting to the bottom of why I was an addict, and just accepting the truth that I wasn't a food addict, because food is not addictive, but I was a drug addict, because only drugs are addictive, you know. And so dealing with all of that, at the end of, you know, me finding out why I was struggling with addictions, why I was an addict in the first place, you know, which I had to uncover, you know, the pain beneath the addictions that I was trying to escape through suppressing, through eating. I went on my first watermelon journey, and the reason I did that was to overcome the addictions. And so last year, May 4th of last year was when I started my first watermelon journey, and is when I became free from all of the addictions that I had. And so from May 4th to today, I've been eating nothing but fruit. I've been mono eating fruit, meaning I just eat one thing at a time. I don't do any more mixing or combining, because I discovered that when you mix and combine things, you create potential for addiction. And I don't want to go back into addiction in no kind of way. So I've currently, this time around, this is my 493rd day of fruit. But this time I don't have any cravings or temptations or anything. I don't have any addictions. So I'm free to eat the way I want to eat. So, you know, I'm on fruit now for life.
That's amazing. What brings me to the fact that you also wrote a book about overcoming addictions. So maybe if you can tell me number one advice you would give to people that struggle with any kind of addiction.
Well, I mean, there's only one addiction, first of all. No matter what vice people use, everybody's in search of the same thing, and that's peace. Everybody's looking for peace. There's just a lot of different ways that people go about it. You know, for some people, going out to eat will give them the peace they need. They don't need anything more than that. You know, some people need something stronger. They may need to go out for drinks. Some people may need something stronger. They may need to smoke some weed. Some people may need to smoke crack. Some people may need to have sex. Some people may need to cut themselves, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know, the list of vices is endless, but everybody's looking for the same thing, and that's peace. So why don't you have peace? That's what needs to be addressed. Why don't you have peace? You know, my last trigger during my, you know, my first year of fruit, and, you know, that period after that, my trigger was boredom. I noticed just through, you know, from self-observation, I noticed that if I was bored, I didn't like the way it felt. And I ran from it. I had to suppress it. It was so uncomfortable for me. I couldn't sit in it. I couldn't take it. And so I would always go get something to eat. And so I had to face that trigger. So what was it about being bored that was so unpleasant, that was so uncomfortable? Why couldn't I just sit in it and enjoy it? And as I start questioning these things, then it just didn't even make sense that being bored would trigger me. And so I started just welcoming that experience of boredom and sitting in it and just facing it and feeling it. And this was instrumental in me overcoming the addictions because I don't have that trigger anymore. When I learned how to enjoy just sitting alone in silence, doing nothing, it's no longer a trigger. So now I'm not running to suppress. I'm not running from it. I started running to it. So you have to face the pain, whatever is your trigger or triggers. Many of us have several triggers. Whatever those triggers are, you got to face it. There's no way around it. Like if you don't face it, then you're running from it. Every time you choose to suppress and numb, you're choosing not to heal. You're choosing to stay sick. So that's what you have to do. That's what you have to do. You just have to have a face-to-face with yourself. You have to, first, you just have to pay close attention to yourself. Observe yourself. And what happens before you run for that comfort, before you run to that vice, seeking comfort and pleasure? What was going on before that? What were you thinking? What were you feeling? And why? You have to address that. When you address that and heal from that, then you're free in that area. That trigger is no longer a trigger for you. And you can move on to the next thing, and you do that until you have no more triggers. And when you have no more triggers, there's no reason to suppress or numb. Of what? You're healed now. So, I mean, it's the same thing across the board.
I see. What I really like about you is that you answer all the questions within one answer. Like the questions I have prepared, that were prepared, are already answered. Anyway, so thank you for making time for this short interview. Is there anything else you would like to share with people in this tiny European country called Slovakia?
Not really. I don't know anything about your country. But I guess what I would say is I'll just reiterate the need, the necessity, even the urgency to pay very close attention to what you eat, what you drink, what you put in your body, because the government's job is not to keep us healthy. That's our job. Our health is our responsibility, and you're being irresponsible over your health when you just eat and drink things and you don't even know what you're eating and drinking. You have to start reading ingredients labels. It's a must, because the things they are putting in what people are eating is what's making them sick. First, it gets them addicted. And I mean, once you're addicted, it's just really hard to break that. And it's just a slow downhill spiral at that point. You're eating things that are making you sicker and that they know will make you sick over time. And you have to understand there's a couple of reasons why this is done. One, the companies that make the things that most of us eat are in business to make money. It's a business. It has nothing to do with your health. They're there to make money. They're there to get rich. And they can't make money if people are not buying their product. What's the best way to ensure that people buy your product? You make it addictive. You make it addictive. You make people want it by making it highly addictive. And they do this with things like sugar and salt and dairy. These three substances are highly addictive. You know, the unnatural fats, the unnatural oils, the unnatural starches, the grains, which are unnatural. You know, you can't even eat grain in its natural state. But once you take it out of its natural state, you make it addictive. All of these things are highly addictive. And this is what people are eating. So, you know, you get addicted, you're hooked, and you're eating things that are slowly making you sicker, and most people don't even care because that's how addiction works. You know, a person that's addicted to crack or heroin or meth, they see what they've done to their lives. They don't care. The addiction has that type of a stronghold on their lives, on their mind. They're not even thinking straight anymore. And this is exactly what's going on with, you know, let me say this. I don't know what the data is for your country specifically, but heart disease is the #1 cause of death worldwide. And cancer is #2. And both of these diseases are largely diet related. It has everything to do with what you're eating. And if you start looking up the ingredients in what you're eating, you're going to see a lot of ingredients are linked to heart disease and cancer. And then there's almost 1 billion people that have diabetes. Again, you're going to see ingredients linked to diabetes, increasing your chances of developing diabetes in nearly everything you eat and drink. So you got to pay attention. You got to pay attention. It's your responsibility. They're trying to make money. They're not trying to make sure you're healthy. And they do whatever it takes. You know, and the other aspect is it's part of a system. This is part of a system, right? Because they sell you the things to eat that make you sick, and then they profit off of you when you get sick, when you have to go to the hospital, right? That's the second half. They put you on drugs that you'll have to be on for the rest of your life if you don't go a different route. And people think, you know, the system that most people refer to as the healthcare system is in place to care for your health, to help you